Today's sequence is going to be focused on the front and back of the body. So we've got your particular issues, which are sitting down a lot, which makes your hip flexors tight and your low back weak. So we'll be working on the core to strengthen your back, and we'll also be working to stretch the front of the hip. There's also neck and shoulder therapy in there because a lot of sitting can compromise that. And we'll be doing this all from a position on the floor, so either lying on our back or lying on our stomach. So that way it kind of keeps things less complicated. It also, you can choose this versus other sequences if you're feeling more tired. Laying down has a really nice effect on the back. It unloads the spine, and when you take the spine out of the equation, or the tight back muscles, then you can more easily access the hamstrings. So we're going to start with myofascial release. And if you remember from our lessons before, we used tennis balls, 2 of them, or you can use a foam roller, your choice. Foam roller is it's a little more broad pressure, spreads it out. Tennis balls are a little bit more specific. So I'm going to use a foam roller today. Maybe I'll do both. So foam roller, you just start about mid-back. Keep your belly braced. Interlace your fingers behind your head. And just start to roll it out. You want to be mindful of your breath. And then you can set your hips down. Sit up a little bit. Get the roller underneath your head. Bring your feet together, let your knees drop out to the sides. You can turn your head from side to side to loosen up the neck. If the foam roller is sliding around, then hold it with your hands. And you can feel free to pause the video and stay there as long as you like. I'm going to move on to tennis balls. So we'll start the tennis balls down in the low back on either side of the spine. Find the flesh rather than the bone. So the tennis balls might be a couple inches apart in between your hips and your rib cage, the back of your waist. With your feet wide to the edges of the mat, you can start to sway your knees from side to side, and that will massage your low back. Again, taking deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. If you need to feel a little bit more pressure, you can pull one knee in or both knees in. Also, rocking them from side to side if that feels good for you. Breathing deeply and mindfully. And then set the feet down. Get the tennis balls higher up into your mid-back. They'll be a little closer together as the vertebrae here are a little smaller. And then set your hips back down on the floor. Bring your hands to your frontal hip bones, and then feel your pelvis rock forward, and then rock the pelvis back. So you're pressing the low back down towards the floor. You can feel the tennis balls roll a couple of inches. Again, rock the pelvis forward so your tailbone starts to point down, your low back arches. And then go the other way, pressing the low back down towards the floor and pointing your tailbone forward. So you can just roll that back and forth a few times, relaxing your arms at your sides. Or if that's too intense, you can just lie still. Breathe deeply and relax. And you can again sway your knees gently from side to side. And take as much time here as you need, pausing the video if you like. Otherwise, moving on. Take the tennis balls out from underneath you. And now from the top, roll to one side and place the tennis ball into the upper back, in between the shoulder blades. Try to find them even, in an even placement on either side of your spine. Again, you can rock your pelvis back and forth, and that will roll the tennis balls a couple of inches. Or keep your hips still, reach your hands up, give yourself a loose hug, let the arms drape. You'll feel the shoulder blades move apart and the tennis balls sink in a little bit deeper. Again, you can rock the pelvis back and forth if you like movement, or just stay still. Find your breath. And then take your arms out to the sides, overhead. And then cross your arms the other way for balance. And then release. Bring the tennis balls into your trap, so it's going to be a couple inches higher. You can roll the body down so the tennis balls move up if it's a little easier. But find the flesh that connects your neck to your shoulder. There's usually a lot of tension there. And then relax. Slide your heels towards your glutes. Your feet are outer hip width distance and your toes point straight forward. Press your low back down towards the floor, rocking the pelvis back. You can stay there, or lift your hips up, and that will give you more pressure into the tennis balls. From there, if it feels good, you can grab the outside edges of the mat, and then shrug your shoulders down the back a little bit to get in there more. But make sure that your face isn't crunching up. You want to find a certain amount of comfort in this intensity. Take another deep breath wherever you are. Gently release your body back down. Grab a hold of your tennis balls. Take your arms out to the sides. Bring your chin towards your chest. And bring your knees together as your feet go a little bit wider. And just take a few deep breaths. And then cross your ankles. Bring your feet closer together. And then cross your ankles. Knees go out to the sides. And the legs drop. So if you find this uncomfortable for your hips, if your legs will not relax, just take some blocks. Place them underneath your thighs. So your body has a little bit of support and it can just let go more. Hands to the tennis balls. Hold them at the base of your skull. Take a deep breath and let your head get heavy. And start to nod your head yes. And shake your head no. Maintaining that deep breath. Circle your chin. Make figure eights. And move the tennis balls more narrow or more wide to explore that space. Stay here as long as you like, otherwise moving on. Set your props aside. Make your way onto your belly. We're going to strengthen the back. Stretch your arms forward, forehead to the mat. You can bend your arms if your shoulders are uncomfortable. And just take a few moments here. Flip your heels out, knees in. Let's turn the head to the side. Turn your head to the other side. And then bring your forehead back to center. Stretch your hands forward. Stretch your legs back. And lift your right leg and your left arm at the same time. Pull your navel towards your spine. Relax your shoulder. Take a breath. And release. Other side. Left leg, right arm. Stretch fingers forward, toes back. Pull navel in. Find your breath. And then release it down. So we'll take right leg, left arm. Inhale. Exhale down. Keep the abs engaged. Other side. Inhale it up. Exhale down. Good. Now add the chest and the head. Inhale. Look forward. Exhale, release down. Inhale up. Other side. Exhale down. Keep going at your own pace. You want to make sure to keep the navel pulled in towards the spine to support your low back. Strengthening the muscles of the back. You're probably feeling some heat. We'll be here for 30 more seconds. Find length as you lift. Try not to tense your jaw. Last one each side. And then release all the way down. Take your arms at your sides, palms face up. And then take your right knee and slide it out to the side and up, kind of towards your shoulder. So you're in this half sprawled position. So release for the back, for the hip. Take another breath or two. And then you can use your hand to support you as you stretch that leg back. And again, find the toes in, heels out. Turn your head the other way. And then switch sides. Scoot your left knee up. Move your arm out of the way. Take a few breaths as you relax here. Use your hands to help you send that leg back. Next is going to be a stretch for the shoulder. Take your right arm out to the side. The palm is going to face down. Now you decide which position is going to feel best for you. You might need to bring the arm down a little bit, or from this 90-degree position, you can create another 90 degree here by bending the right arm and creating almost a goalpost shape. So let your head rest on the floor. Bend your knees as you roll onto your right hip. Make sure that you feel good here, stretching the shoulder. So you can come back out. Try a straight arm out directly to the side. And then maybe bring the arm a little closer to the body, maybe about at a 45 degree instead of a 90. And again, roll over and see which one feels the best for you. Get comfortable.
few deep breaths. You can stay here as long as you want to. Pausing the video if necessary. Bend your knees a little more, bring your knees towards the belly, and you might feel a bit more relaxed here. Let your head rest. Take another breath, and then come on out to center. You're going to do that on the other side. So you want to do the same thing on this side. So the same arm position. Roll onto your left hip, let your head rest on the floor. You can place something underneath your head, a block maybe, if your neck is uncomfortable. Knees come a little closer to the belly so the low back is released. And then just soften into it, feel that shoulder stretch, breathe. Take another breath. Make your way back onto your belly. Come into a locust pose. So if you're able, clasp your hands behind you. If you're not able, you can grab onto a towel or a strap or a belt. And then press the tops of the feet into the mat. Your legs are together. Lift your kneecaps, so feet down, knees up, tailbone in, belly in. Lift your chest. Stretch your hands back and open the chest. Look up. Find your breath and keep that belly button point pulled in. Stay here or lift the legs up off the floor, strengthening the back, the core, opening the chest and the hip flexors. Find length as you lift. Draw those shoulder blades together. Take another breath or two. And then release all the way down. Turn your head to the side. Relax your arms at your sides. Palms up, heels out. And bring your hands under your shoulders. Press the hips back. Take the knees apart. Big toes touch behind you. And you can always set yourself up with something for your hips. If your hips are tight, you might want to take a block or a pillow or something to catch your glutes as you send the hips back. Finding support underneath your seat bones. Stretching the hands forward. And it can also be nice to get support underneath the chest. So you can use your foam roller or a block. And just something to allow you to relax in here. Let your head rest all the way down. If your head's not touching the floor, put a block underneath it. If your shoulders are uncomfortable, take your arms wider apart. You want those arms to be able to relax. And just feel the stretch in the back of your body, the shoulders. If your ankles are uncomfortable, you can put like a rolled up towel underneath that to reduce the amount of extension that you're feeling. So stay here as long as you need to. Pause the video if necessary. And then when you're ready, come onto your back. Do some eagle crunches. Take your right leg and cross it over your left leg. So thigh on thigh contact as best as you're able. And then lift your shins parallel to the floor. You want to squeeze the lower legs together. Maybe hook the toes if possible. And then so it's right leg on top. We want right arm under left. Cross the arms as high up as you can. And you might just need to hug your shoulders, hands to shoulders. That works pretty good. And then lift your head and shoulders up off the mat. Lift your elbows up. Take an inhale. And stretch the elbows and knees away from each other. Keep the head and shoulders up. And then exhale, squeeze them together. Pull the belly in. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale, lengthen. Don't let your low back arch. Exhale, squeeze. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And then release your arms out to the sides. Uncross your legs. And then cross your ankles. If you can remember which ankle was in front. Let your knees out to the sides and take a couple of deep breaths. Make sure your shoulders are out of your ears. Relax your jaw. And then we'll do that on the other side. So feet on the floor, left leg on top, cross your legs, thigh on thigh as best as you're able, shins parallel to the floor, and then left arm under right. Hands to the shoulders, lift the head and shoulders, lift the elbows. Inhale, stretch the knees and elbows away from each other. Exhale, squeeze them together, belly in. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, squeeze. 3 more. Hold. And then release. Set the arms out to the sides, relax your head, feet down. And then bring your feet together. Let your knees drop out to the sides. And remember, if you feel uncomfortable here, if you're feeling pinching or just general tension, place something underneath your knees or thighs. Let's take those hands and stretch them up. Feel an opening in the chest. And if you feel tension in the neck and shoulders, just take your arms a little bit wider. Stay here as long as you need to. Next pose is bridge. So from your back, there's a couple of different ways you can do this. I'm going to show you the active version first. So heels come up close to your glutes. You want your feet to be outer hip width distance. So reach down with your hands and feel your heels just a little bit wider than your hips. Your toes should point forward and your heels should point back. Press your low back into the floor and then lift your hips up. So make sure your knees aren't splaying out. Tuck them in hip width. And then tuck your shoulders underneath you. You can grab the outside edges of your mat and shrug those shoulders down the back. Lift your hips. So obviously this is going to be the opposite direction of that seated position. Opening up the front of the hip. You're going to breathe into it. Keep your throat open. If available, you can clasp the hands or you can hold onto a towel underneath your body, maybe bringing the shoulder blades closer together. Keep the feet rooted into the floor. One more breath. And then gently release down. Bring your knees together. Let your feet scoot farther apart and just relax. So the second variation of bridge I'm going to show you is going to be a passive version. You're going to bring your feet back to outer hip width, feet close to the glutes. Lift your hips up and slide a block underneath your hips. So low setting or medium setting, right underneath the sacrum. So in between your tailbone and your low back is a flat bone. Find it. And you don't have to use a block. You could use a blanket or a rolled up towel. And then another nice stretch for your hip flexors. Send one leg forward and pull the other knee in. Deep breaths, make sure that your mouth is relaxed, that you're releasing the tension in the body. Take another deep breath. Set your left foot down, or whichever bent leg down, and then pull your other knee in, stretch the other leg straight, and relax into it. You want to use a little bit of arm strength without getting tense in the jaw, neck, and shoulders. Keep it relaxed. Deep breaths. One more. And then release the foot down. Bend both knees, feet on the floor. Lift your hips up. Slide the block out from underneath you. Set it aside. And then for the hamstring, let's take the right leg up. Oh man, sore. Interlace your fingers behind the leg, but keep a little bit of bend in your knee. Flex your foot. Point it, flex it, point it, flex it. Working out the ankle. And then flex the foot. Start to push the leg into the hands a little bit. And now feel a stretch in the neck. So instead of pulling the leg in, push it away. And feel that stretch in the front of the neck. A little bit of traction on the arms. And then gently release. Take your hands up a little bit higher if that feels okay. Don't force it. And keep a little bit of bend in the knee. Or a lot of bend in the knee, if that's what feels right for you. Watch your neck, your shoulders, keep them relaxed. And then if it feels good, send your left leg forward. You also have the option of maybe just keeping the hands behind the knee here, pulling it out towards the shoulder, keeping that foot flexed. Or if you want to, you can use a strap or a towel to hook over the foot. It's a little nicer to the hamstrings to keep the leg bent. You can target it rather than being too stressed. Take another deep breath. And you can straighten that leg a little bit if you want. And gently release. Hold the knee with the left hand. Take your right arm out to the side. The palm faces up. Roll onto your left hip and take your right foot and just rest it on your left leg somewhere near the knee. And then let the body roll to the side. You can use a block or anything for support underneath this knee. You don't want to feel stressed. You want to feel relatively relaxed. You take your left hand to your right hip and gently push it forward. Just stretch. You want to feel a little more length here in the right waist and in the low back. And if it feels okay on your neck, turn your head, pick your head up, turn it to the right. But if that doesn't feel good, either look up or look to the left. Take another breath. Come back to center. You want to brace your belly as you transition to support your low back. Pull both knees in. can move them around a little bit, maybe feel a difference between right and left sides. Set your right foot on the floor, and then take your left leg up. Flex the foot, point the foot. And I do realize that you can only do this on one side, so I'm not trying to be rude. Okay, now take the leg, push it into the hands so you feel a stretch in the neck. Take a breath or two. Gently release. Take your hands a little bit higher if that feels okay, but don't force it. Bend your knee a little or bend your knee a lot. Maybe send your right leg forward depending on how that feels for you. So again, hands behind the knee. You can pull the knee towards the shoulder. Keep that left foot flexed. You want to use your arm strength without creating excess tension in the jaw and shoulders. Start to straighten that leg if it feels okay to get it into the hamstring more. Find a deep, purposeful breath. One more. And then release. Grab your knee with your right hand. Take your left arm out to the side. Roll onto your right hip as you bring your left foot to rest on your right leg. Only roll as far as feels comfortable. You want the hips stacked one on top of the other. You can take your right hand and gently press your left hip or top of the thigh forward. You should feel a gentle lengthening of the left side, a little traction in the low back. Feel uncomfortable, place something, a block, a foam roller, underneath this knee. And then take another breath. Come back to center. Knees bent. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh. Flex the foot or clamp that right knee joint shut. Reach the right hand through the legs, the left arm around, and interlace the fingers either behind the knee or in front. Use your arm strength to pull the legs in towards the chest and feel a stretch in the hip. If your knee is uncomfortable, clamp that knee joint shut more in order to keep the stretch in the hip and not the knee. Protect the knee. One more deep breath. You're always welcome to stay here as long as you need to, pausing the video. And then switching to the other side. Left ankle crosses over the right thigh. Reach the left arm through the window, right arm around, grab the thigh or grab the shin. Keep your left foot flexed, left knee joint clamped shut. And then relax your shoulders, bring the chin towards the chest to lengthen the back of the neck. Use your arms to pull the legs in. Make sure you're not stressing the knee. Clamp it shut to stretch the hip. Couple more deep breaths. And gently release. Grab a hold of the backs of the knees. Take them wide. and pull them towards the shoulders. Bring your chin towards your chest so it's almost like you're giving yourself a triple chin. Stretching the back of the neck. And then flex your feet and take your heels over your knees. Use your arm strength to pull the knees down towards the floor to open the hip. Stretch your tailbone forward. And then release. I'm going to have you flip over onto your belly for a little bit more myofascial release. Have your foam roller for under your hips, tennis balls for your pecs. So you can set yourself up, foam roller in front of you, tennis balls here to catch your chest. When you're ready, lower yourself down. Your tailbone's going to be sticking up in the air. You might need to adjust your foam roller or your rolled up towel, whatever it is that you're using today. Bring the tennis balls into your pecs. Turn your head to the side. And then take your arms by your sides, your palms face up, and just let your body relax. Turn your heels out, toes in. Now, you can experiment with different positions of the arms. You can take those arms out to the sides, straight. Maybe bent, maybe farther overhead. Oh my goodness. You can change the position of the tennis balls. You want to relax into that intensity. Turn your head to the other side for balance. Stay here as long as you like, pausing the video if needed, otherwise moving on. Coming onto your forearms, you can use the foam roller to pull yourself forward and back. You want to keep your belly braced and your low back rounded to support this posture. You can bend your knees to lengthen those quadriceps as you roll them. I recommend a foam roller rather than tennis balls for the quadriceps. The pressure is a little more broad. You can also play around with some core work here, using movement from the hips to kind of get a little bit more range of motion here. It's a little awkward. You have to know how to use your core. You can windshield wiper the feet in and out, cross fiber friction. And if you don't have a foam roller, get one. If you don't have them today, I like tennis balls for travel. If you're out of town, they're a lot more portable. The difference is that they're more specific. So both have their different uses. Tennis balls, you'll bring them right to the top of the quadriceps. So under the bone and right under the hip crease. So lay on your belly and then find that spot right at the top of the thigh. It might take some searching to find the exact right spot. Wiggle your hips from side to side. You can turn your head to the side and relax. You can also bend your knees and windshield wiper from side to side. If you want a little bit more pressure, come onto your forearms, but keep your belly braced. So notice elbow is directly underneath shoulder. You want 90 degrees there. If you're feeling tension in your low back, take your hands farther forward. That's going to reduce the pressure on your back. So this is a back bend. Keep the belly braced and pull your heart forward. Imagine your palms gripping the floor. Well, grip the floor with your palms. Don't just imagine it. Pull yourself forward. Keep the belly braced. And again, you can Play around with movement here, feet side to side, or curl your toes under. Brace your abs, and then you can roll with the fiber. Again, a foam roller is a little bit more convenient for this one. And it burns. Ooh. So stay here as long as you like. See what feels good. And then when you're ready, press back to child's pose. Take the tennis balls into the hands. And you can just roll, well, it's not really convenient here, so roll all the way up and roll your hands out. So this will be good therapy for your hands since you're gripping that steering wheel. You can set your tennis balls aside. Of course, doing that as long as you like. Take your knees a little bit wider. And if this doesn't feel good on your ankles, you're more than welcome to do this in a tabletop position. So turn your hands out 180 degrees. You want to keep your hands about shoulder width distance. If it feels okay and you want some more, you can turn them around 180. That's the goal, but don't force it. If you need less stretch, step your hands back. If you need more stretch, step them forward. And then we'll just take a little bit of cat and cow. So drop the belly, point the tailbone up, shoulders back, look up, throat open. Take an inhale. And then exhale, round it out. Chin to chest. Let's bring the knees together, feet together. Press the tops of the feet into the floor. Squeeze the belly, squeeze the knees. Stretch the back, take another breath. And release, inhale, other way. Tailbone up, throat open, shoulders back. Exhale, round. Take a few more. Do that as long as you like. Otherwise, coming back to neutral and then making your way onto your back. Hug your knees in one final time. Squeeze everything in. And then release your legs forward. It'll feel nice for your low back if you place something underneath your knees. Foam roller, blanket, pillow, rolled up towel, whatever it is. And then rest your arms at your sides. I seem to remember you having a lot of tension in the back of your neck. So you can place that block underneath the base of your skull just so you have a little stretch in the back of the neck. Flip your palms up. Make sure you're nice and comfortable, shoulder blades tucked underneath you. Maybe take a few deep breaths and sigh it out to relax your body. And let your breath be natural. And stay here for 5 to 10 minutes, consciously bringing your mind back to this moment.